So I'm just going to go for another Thunder Wave here. And Primarina goes for a Moonblast. It's a one-hit KO. Muddy Water only hits Stunfisk. Here it's a critical hit. And Stunfisk is taken down. Turtonator goes for the Dynamax. And one-hit KOs Vanillux. And a Thunderbolt. And it is going to be a double KO. I think Stoutland's going to regret that. How many critical hits have we had this game? Hello and welcome to another Iceberg video. Now, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is out, and I haven't heard too many good things about it. But it does mean that there are some new game modes out for this episode of Pokémon Showdown. We're gonna go for a random battle to start off. The second game, we could do a random doubles battle. For the third game, we're going to do a free-for-all battle. And the last game is going to be a new game mode, the Joltimon's random battle. I have absolutely no idea what that is. But we're going to get the random singles battle underway, and let's see what we can do. But before we get started, I've got a little announcement. I've got a new track coming out next month. It's going to be on Ace's Records, so be on the lookout for that. Also, speaking of next month, since I'm almost done with my semester, I'm probably going to have a lot more free time to do my videos, so hopefully content shows up more frequently. While I was at school, I've been releasing one video per month, but I could go back to a bi-monthly or maybe even a weekly schedule. Anyway, with all that being said, let's get started with the first game of the video. Well, that's a start and a half. I'm gonna go for a Thunder Wave to open things up. And unable to use its move. And with that, I'm just gonna go for a Draco Meteor. Does a pretty good amount. And Melodic paralyzed again, but recovers onto the green. I did not intend to go for a Fire Blast there. And now Melodic goes for a Toxic. I'm just going to switch out. There's nothing that's super effective against a Water type in my team. But I'm going to go on to Drapion here. And Melodic goes for a Recover. Okay. This is not going to be fun, is it? And there's a switch onto Caparaja, which means that Poison Jab is immune. And what is Caparaja going to do here? I think he's got a ground-type move. Drapion lands the Earthquake. Caparaja with an Earthquake in return. Drapion down to the red. And with that, Drapion lands another Earthquake. Caparaja is the first one out. Pincurchin is going to be up next. So I could go for an Earthquake again. And it doesn't do a whole lot. And Drapion is out. So good job taking down the first... Well, it wasn't even a ground type, but it was a poison type with a ground type move. This is a ground type. And we're going to go for an Earth Power with Palisand here. And that will be enough to take down Pincurchin. Next Pokemon heading out. Watch this be a flying type. It is Alolan Sandslash. So I'm going to go for another Earth Power if we can. There's a triple Axle. Wait, why was Palisand only hit once? Doesn't it always hit 3 times? I will take it though. Sandslash very deep in the red. Lands another triple Axle. And this could hit 3 times, and it does take down Palisand this time. Sandslash is taken down as well. And we're going to go back onto Palkia. That did not end up being the right option, because Primarina is heading out. So Primarina can resist the Hydro Pump and the Fire Blast, and is immune to the Draco Meteor. So I'm just going to go for another Thunder Wave here. And Primarina goes for a Moonblast. It's a one-hit KO. Oh, boy. Okay, next Pokemon is going to be Noivern. It's Part Dragon, isn't it? Okay, that was a bad option. We're going to go for Hurricane. Does a decent amount. Lands another Moonblast. It's another one-hit KO. I think Jellicent is the option to go for from here. So I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball. They go back to Melodic. Shadow Ball does a decent amount. I don't really have much against Melodic here. And Melodic goes for a Toxic. So I have to go for Shadow Ball again, really. Special defense is lower. Water Absorb, though, by Jellicent. I feel like the best bet for Melodic is to just let Jellicent get taken down by the Toxic. Because all I'm doing is spamming Shadow Ball, and it looks like it's working. Never mind, there's an Energy Ball to go against Jellicent. And eventually Jellicent is taken down by the Toxic. My last Pokemon is Landorus. So I'm going to go for a Fly if we can. Should be enough to take down Primarina, and there it is. I think they should go back. Yep, they do go back to Melodic here. And I'm going to go for an Earthquake. Down to the yellow. Lands another Toxic. So I've got to go quickly here. I'm going to go for another Earthquake. Down to 1%. Paralyzed, though. Does a bit of a recovery. Landorus in a bit of a struggle still. I'm just going to go... You know what? No, I'm going to go for the Earthquake for right now. And who is the last Pokemon going to be? You've got to be kidding me. Okay, so now is the time to go for the Dynamax, and I'm going to go for a Max Quake. Zygarde with the Outrage, and Max Quake won't be enough, and Landorus gets taken down. That was a pretty close game, but not an ideal way to start. Right, so game 2 is going to be the random doubles battle. So let's get right to it. So we've got Sirfetch'd and Quagsire against Clefairy and Keldeo. I'm going to go for a Moonblast against Sirfetch'd. I'm going to go for a Calm Mind and assume that Quagsire has Water Absorb. There's a Poison Jab, super effective against Clefairy. Moonblast in return, Sirfetch'd down to the red. Quagsire going for a Yawn. I'm going to try a Follow Me and go for a Secret Sword against Quagsire here. Actually, no. I'm going to switch out. And replacing Keldeo, I'm going to try Orbeetle. There is the switch. Sirfetch'd goes for a Protect. Clefairy with the Follow Me, and Scald puts Clefairy down to the red. Now I'm going to go for a Moonblast, this time against Quagsire, and a Psychic against Sirfetch'd, and they go for a switch down to Ferrothorn. That was a very good call. And the Scald goes against Orbeetle, doesn't do a whole lot. Just going to go for another Follow Me, and I'm going to go for... I'm going to take a massive risk here. Hypnosis against Ferrothorn. There's the Follow Me by Clefairy. Hypnosis hits! Quagsire hits the Yawn as well. That was an interesting round, and I'm going to go Moonblast against Quagsire and Sticky Web. Moonblast does a pretty good amount. Quagsire down to the yellow, recovers onto the green. Goes for a Scald. Causes the burn this time, though. Clefairy now asleep as well. Gonna try a Psychic against Quagsire this time. I think Quagsire is the bigger threat at the moment. I say that, like, it seems like Scald is the only move that he can use, and it's not doing a whole lot. So gonna go for a Moonblast and a Psychic again, both against Quagsire. I think it's gonna be more than likely that Quagsire gets to be taken down first, and there's a critical hit on the Psychic. Gyro Ball takes down Clefairy. So we are even heading into this one. Orbeetle recovers onto the green. And the next Pokemon heading out, we're gonna go... Oh, I don't really have too many super good options. I'm just gonna go back to Keldeo here. And up against Turtonator. So I'm going to go for a Secret Sword. And I'm going to go for a Psychic. Secret Sword against Ferrothorn. Psychic against Turtonator, who goes for a Protect. And Secret Sword, super effective. Ferrothorn recovers, but still in the yellow. And there is a Toxic against Keldeo. Interesting call. Gonna go for another Secret Sword, and I'm gonna try Hypnosis against Turtonator. They go for a switch onto Surfetch'd. Is that the right option? I don't think so. Surfetch'd taken down, and Hypnosis hits as well. They could go back to Ferrothorn here. They go on to Thundurus here. And I think that's a very good call. I'm going to go for a Muddy Water. And I'm going to go for a Psychic against Thundurus here. Muddy Water only hits Thundurus and does a decent amount. Thunderbolt will be enough to take down Keldeo. Super effective as well. And Psychic puts Thundurus down to the red. Turtonator wakes up in time. Goes for a Shell Smash. Doesn't have the white herb though. So I'm going to go for Vanillix here. Going to go for a guaranteed hit Blizzard. And I'm going to go Psychic against Turtonator. This could end up in a double KO against us if they play their cards right. Turtonator goes for the Dynamax and one-hit KOs Vanillix. And a Thunderbolt, and it is going to be a double KO. And that puts us in trouble. Chinchino and Quagsire are going to be the final two Pokemon. And I'm not really sure what to do from here. I'm just going to go for a knockoff to take down Thundurus. And I'm going to Dynamax Quagsire and go for a Max Quake against Turtonator. Knockoff will be enough to take down Thundurus. Max Wormwind against Quagsire lowers the attack of both of them. Max Quake in response and doesn't do a whole lot. They could go back to Ferrothorn. And they do. Okay, so Knockoff is the only move I could use. And I'm going to go for Max Quake again, this time against Ferrothorn. Knockoff doesn't do a whole lot. Max Wormwind puts Chinchino down to the red. Max Quake, that does almost nothing against Ferrothorn. Goes for a Power Whip, and Quagsire down to 1. Recovers with the Citrus Berry, but I do think the next turn is going to be the final turn here. It's going to be difficult to get back in this game now. There's a Knockoff, doesn't do enough against Ferrothorn. Dragon Pulse is a critical hit against Chinchino. Max Quake puts Turtonator down to the red, and Power Whip misses Quagsire. Had that hit, that would have been game. Wish I could go against 2. You know what? I'm going to try and recover. Turtonator with the Protect. Quagsire able to recover. Body Press puts Quagsire down to the yellow. So I'm going to recover again. Dragon Pulse. And Quagsire recovers again. Ferrothorn lands the Power Whip. And that is game. 0 for 2 here. It's going to be difficult to make up for it in the free-for-all, but we're going to see what happens. So on to the free-for-all random battle we go. Now, if you don't know what this one is, it's a 4-player battle with all 4 players going up against each other. It's probably one of my favorite game modes, if not my absolute favorite. You never know what's going to happen from here. Now we got to find a game mode or a battle where someone doesn't rage quit early. We've got Kyurem, Suicune, Diancie, and Mantine here. And to start off, I'm going to go for a Scald against Diancie. And they go for a switch onto Jirachi. Interesting call. 2 Scalds here. And there's a Diamond Storm. I think that hits everyone. It's a critical hit against Jirachi. I'm just going to go for a Haze here because why not? Pikachu. They go for a switch onto Pikachu. It's a good read on the Iron Head, and Snarl misses Jirachi, lowers the special attack for Mantine and Pikachu, so that was actually a pretty good call for the Haze, because I'm automatically back to normal. And since Pikachu is here, I'm going to switch out. And we're going to go on to Sableye. Pikachu's probably going to go for an electric-type move against me. No, he goes against Suicune instead. That does a lot of recoil And Suicune is going to be the first one out. Galarian Stunfisk is up next. Gonna go for a foul play against Jirachi here. There's a Volt Tackle, 95% against Sableye, recovers onto the yellow, and Pikachu is out. Fire Punch, super effective against Stunfisk, and foul play takes down Jirachi. And Earthquake takes down Sableye. So everyone is down to 5 now. I think I've got a pretty good squad. I'm gonna go for Inteleon, Incineroar, and Alolan Marowak also heading out. Please tell me I've got Surf or Muddy Water. I do have Muddy Water. I'm going for it. There's a switch onto Scrafty. Muddy Water only hits Stunfisk. Here it's a critical hit! And Stunfisk is taken down. Knockoff doesn't do a whole lot, though. And Gastrodon is up next. And Muddy Water is the only move I could use. If by any chance Gastrodon has Storm Drain, would Muddy Water only hit Gastrodon here? There's a Fake Out. There is the Storm Drain. It does hit the others, though. Gastrodon goes for a Yawn in response. So I'm going to switch back onto Mantine here. And Air Slash takes down Scrafty. Scald was also intended for Scrafty. And Kyurem heads back out. I just realized I can't go for Scald because there's a Storm Drain there. So I'm just going to go for another Haze. Psychic does a decent amount. Glaciate does a pretty good amount against Sigilyph. Speed is lower for all of us. And there is the stats reset as Gastrodon goes for a Yawn against Kyurem. I'm going to go for a Helping Hand. I'm going to try and help out Sigilyph here. And the Psychic is going to be a critical hit to take down Kyurem. And Yawn hits Mantine. So with that, Marowak is heading back out. And I'm going to switch on to... Well, Marowak just forfeited. We're down to 3. I don't want my Mantine to fall asleep, so I'm going to go back to Inteleon here. Psychic does a decent amount. And Gastrodon recovers, and recovers again. So I'm going to go for an Ice Beam against Gastrodon. I have a feeling someone... Okay, no one's going for a switch out. Ice Beam does a lot of damage, and Psychic to double team against Gastrodon. And with that, Nihilego is the next player heading out. Next Pokemon makes more sense here. Ice Beam is the only move I could use, so I'm going to go against Sigilyph. And that is going to be a KO. And Noah is down to 4. On to Stoutland. So now I'm going to Ice Beam against... Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to switch out. Now that the Storm Drain is gone, I could go back to Mantine. And if Nihilego doesn't have a Rock-type move... Oh, shoot. Nihilego has Thunderbolt. There's a Facade as well. You've got to be kidding me. That has to be scripted. It's like Stoutland knew he was going to get paralyzed here, and he goes for that. Anyway, I'm going to go for a Scald against Nihilego there. Noah just said thank you. Scald, super effective, causes the burn as well, and there's a Facade to go against Nihilego, resisted, but Nihilego goes down to the red and still recovers onto the yellow. Probably going to get taken down next turn, though. Never mind. Thunderbolt takes down Mantine here. And Stoutland fails on the Facade. They're trying to double team against me, aren't they? Inteleon heading back out. And I'm going to go for a Muddy Water. A critical hit against Nihilego. And Stoutland paralyzed as well. Slowbro heading on. Muddy Water is the only move I could use. It only hits Slowbro here. And it does a fairly decent amount. There's a Trick Room, though. That's going to be very helpful for Slowbro. There is a Shell Side Arm to go against Inteleon. Stoutland paralyzed again. Muddy Water puts both of them down to the yellow as Slowbro and Stoutland. They both recover onto the green. So let's try it again. Never mind. Shell Side Arm takes down Inteleon. And Facade is a critical hit and takes down Slowbro. I'm going to go for Charizard here. And Tornadus is also heading out. I'm going to go for a Scorching Sands against Stoutland. If we can here, there's a Facade. Scorching Sands doesn't do a whole lot. Charizard down to 1 and taken down by the knockoff. Incineroar up next. I'm going to go in Dynamax on this one and go for a Max Flare against Stoutland if we can. And Superpower doesn't do a whole lot. I think Stoutland's going to regret that. How many critical hits have we had this game? Knockoff doesn't do anything. Urshifu's heading out. Okay, so I don't really have any big options against Urshifu. I'm just going to go for another Max Flare here. And Urshifu goes for the Dynamax as well. Hurricane misses Incineroar. Max Knuckle hits, though. And a critical hit again. Incineroar down to 7%. Max Flare in response was resisted. I don't think I should have went for that. I thought Urshifu was a fighting dark type. The previous Urshifu that I noticed while playing Pokemon Showdown was a fighting dark type, not a fighting water type. But even then, that's a mistake on me. Tornadus with a Protect. That should be a KO here. And it is. Now I'm down to my last Pokemon. And it's going to be Groudon. So I'm going to go for Precipice Blades. It goes against everyone. It's probably not going to hit Tornadus, though. And speaking of which, Tornadus goes for the Dynamax, goes for a Max Airstream. They're going to double team against me, aren't they? There's the Max Geyser. That's it for me. So it is between Tornadus and Urshifu. And it's 3 against 1. Noah's in the lead. Aqua Jet does a decent amount against Tornadus. Max Airstream in response, and it will take down Urshifu. Incineroar up next. I think this is the last Dynamax turn for Tornadus. Might be wrong, though. And what a way to capitalize on that last turn. There's a fake out. Wait, hang on a minute. Tornadus was still able to use his move. What? Alright, Hurricane hits. Doesn't do enough against Incineroar. Lands the knockoff. And that will wrap up this free-for-all. Noah the Great wins it. So with that, we go on to the last game of the episode. The Joltemon's Random Battle. So this is going to be a brand new game mode. So I'm excited to see what we've got. Next and last game, we've got Wormadam against Doublade. And I'm going to go for a Shadow Claw. U-turn doesn't do a lot. They do go for a switch. Ghost type was added to Wormadam. They switch on to Volcarona. And Flame Body puts Doublade at a burn. I'm going to switch onto Camerupt here. Volcarona goes for the Quiver Dance. I'm going to try and play it safe with a Stealth Rock, and playing it safe is probably not going to be the right option. We're going to try Arid Absorption if we can, and Psychic takes down Camerupt for the first KO of the game. So up next is Charizard. I don't have a Flying type move, and Psychic still does a lot against Charizard. Thunder Punch does a decent amount. Gonna try Thunder Punch again. Never mind, there's a critical hit. I'm gonna get swept, aren't I? All of the other 4 Pokemon are weak to Volcarona in some way. Gonna try and go for a Psychic here. Volcarona goes for a Fiery Dance, and Psychic doesn't do enough. And Fiery Dance this time takes down Hatterene. So I'm gonna have to go back to Doublade here. I'm just going to go for a Shadow Sneak, and that will be enough to take down Volcarona. And they are going to go back to Wormadam here. I'm just going to go for a close combat if we can. Earthquake does a pretty good amount. Close combat does almost nothing. Wormadam is... Oh. I thought Wormadam was a bug rock type. It's a bug ground type. I'm going to go for a Shadow Claw instead if we can, and Earthquake takes down Doublade here. I'm down to 2. Ice Cube, I think, could be a good one. I'm going to go for Ice Punch. There's a decent amount. There is a Freeze as well. That's going to be very helpful. So I'm going to go for an Ice Punch again. They could go for a switch. They should go for a switch, and they do, onto Bronzong. So Ice Punch doesn't do a lot. Going to try Liquidation here. That does a tad bit more. Bronzong is going for a Toxic. So I'm going to take a big risk. Belly Drum to max out my attack. The Citrus Berry as well. The Heavy Slam in response knocks away the Ice Face. That's going to lower my defense a lot, I think. Liquidation still hits. Bronzong down to the yellow and Heavy Slam. Ice Cube deep in the red and eventually taken down by the Toxic. And Fortress is going to be my last Pokemon. So with that, I'm going to go for a Volt Switch if we can. Earthquake doesn't do a lot, and Volt Switch doesn't do a lot either. Going to go for a Volt Switch again. They go onto Mesprit, and Volt Switch, once again, doesn't do a lot. Going to try Gyro Ball if we can. Hidden Power from Mesprit, and Wait, how is Gyro Ball super effective? It's a Steel type up against... You know what? Forget it. Fortress taken down. And that will wrap up this episode. A lot of critical hits and a lot of overall madness in this episode. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And I'll talk to you in the next video.